From the Caribbean News Desk, the morning edition. Good morning. I'm Denis Chabrol.
And I'm Kendol Morgan with the latest from across the Caribbean.
Vincentian Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has written to the chairman of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank CDB, urging that the recently resigned president, Dr. Jean Leon, should not be lynched any further now that investigations against him have been completed. Dr. Gonsalves' 5-page letter, which was seen by the Caribbean News Desk, describes the contents of the investigators' report as threadbare and underwhelming. He said the evidence taken as its highest leaves a reasonable and fair-minded reader with the inescapable conclusion that the president was from the outset the victim of a stitch-up job. Dr. Leon was in January sent on 3 months' leave while the bank undertook what it called an administrative process involving him. Last month, as the Barbados headquartered bank sought to extend the leave, lawyers for Dr. Leon announced his resignation and gave the CDB a May 4 deadline to negotiate an amicable separation. Dr. Gonsalves, in his letter, said it does not suit the bank to have its folly forensically examined in excruciating detail in the robust legal system in Barbados or elsewhere.
In Trinidad and Tobago, in the wake of the gunning down of 4 persons and injury to 8 others, Inspector Michelle Lewis has been telling TTT Live Online that police have already made progress in their investigations into the incident at Powder Magazine in the neighborhood of Cocoreet.
Coming out of the incident that occurred on the weekend in Powder Magazine, and based on intel that the officers were already working on, the police we have made some inroads with that already. Inroads is the word I would use at this point in relation to that. That came from good intel.
Trinidad and Tobago police say they have since arrested a prime suspect at the Piarco International Airport. Police say they have found several bullets at his residence.
A hub that can spur sustainable growth for the entire Caribbean. That's how Suriname's President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi sees the emerging economic links connecting neighboring parts of Guyana, Brazil, and Suriname. President Santokhi made the point to regional government and private sector representatives attending a business forum for the Association of Caribbean States in Paramaribo.
Yes, we have signed the agreement signed by the President of this country to develop the northern part of Brazil jointly with the east part of Guyana and the west part of Suriname. That this region is very potential for industrial development, which will be supported by the assistance of oil and gas in this area in the north part of Guyana and Suriname on both sides. But also that this region can function as a hub for other regions, for the air connectivity, but also the land connectivity.
The leaders of Antigua and Barbuda's 2 main political parties traded blame for the plight of the country's workers as they addressed Labor Day celebrations by their affiliated trade unions Monday. Prime Minister Gaston Brown addressed the Antigua and Barbuda Trades and Labor Union and accused their opponents of selling out workers in the important tourism sector.
You must now target the hotel workers whose lot have not improved for the last 30 years in this country. And you know why? It is because they are represented by the Antigua Barbuda Workers Union. All they do is to use workers for political gain. So I say to the Antigua and Barbuda Trades and Labor Union, you now have an obligation to expand your base.
Meantime, leader of the opposition United Progressive Party, Jamil Pringle, used his address to the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union to accuse the government of looking after the interests of parliamentarians before workers.
We have not seen or heard much from the government as it relates to an increase to a living wage for workers. But we have heard of a 14% increase backdated to January 1st, 2023 for ministers. If we're serious in this country, we must ensure that workers are taken care of first before we look at ministers and parliamentarians.
The British Virgin Islands will, by the end of July this year, have a clearer idea of its labour market needs. Deputy Premier Lorna Smith has been telling the House of Assembly that the Labour Ministry is getting help from the International Labour Organization's Caribbean office to conduct a comprehensive labour market analysis.
This analysis will be the foundation for a robust employment policy with strong connections to migration, business development, social protection, and broader economic reforms.
This has been the morning edition from the Caribbean News Desk. You may contact us by phone or WhatsApp at +592 700 9293. Thanks for listening.